Okay, everybody, this is the current situation at the top of Division 1. This is our enhanced scoreboard. It's a logjam, Morris. What are you thinking?
Yeah, logjam is the perfect way to describe it right now. What I'm thinking is that anyone in the green, I think, still could be in contention for the uh, the top two places that clinch you to the finals tomorrow. And I guess Ori Swift looks like he hasn't finished his game either, so he could also be. But much beyond that, you're looking in, and I don't think there's enough ground to make up with 5 games left before that point. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is once you start losing a game or two, if you're in the back half of this green portion of what we're displaying, it becomes really tough. So for people like Chris Cree, Andy Hong, Nigel Peltier, they might need to win out to clinch to the finals tomorrow.
Yeah, 20-8, probably good enough. 19-9, maybe good enough. I don't know about 18.5, or yeah, 18.5, 9.5. I don't know if that's gonna do it. Anyways, the players are getting seated. We're gonna be showing you Nigel Richards versus Jackson Smylie. Jackson, 6th place, definitely needs to win the rest of his games, if not all but one, to make the top 2 spots. And Jackson going first, so he has the advantage there. He is just slightly behind Nigel Richards, 1/2 game behind. He also needs to make up a lot of spread. That's going to become very important. Jackson at plus 488, 2 players ahead of him at 58. Carl Johnson and Will Anderson. Will is at plus 490. He's only 2 spread points ahead. Carl Johnson plus 820. It's really hard for Jackson to get that.
Yep. So Jackson to go first here. This is, yeah, as Josh was saying, this might be a needed win for Jackson, and maybe if he gets all 5 wins here in his last 5 games before the finals tomorrow, he should clinch. 4-1 might do it, although he doesn't have a ton of spread. And if you're playing someone like Nigel Richards, you could hope to win, but you can't hope to win large. And right, you're not the favorite to win any position. Or not, I shouldn't say any position, but at the start of the game. Although Jackson did draw Troving as his opening rack. So he might be set to play that soon. And it looks like he is... Troving is invalid, I guess. I apologize. So he plays Voting, valid word, and this looks very good.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me now. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Voting looks very, very strong for Jackson Smylie. 28 points. Nigel Richards, DIIRTTV. So not a great rack for him. Maybe Vidiot through the O looks pretty strong. Or Divot.
Yeah, seems quite reasonable either way. We talked a bit last game about the consequences potentially of not keeping a vowel, and how that could, if you don't draw a vowel thereafter, you could be very limited in future turns. So I think Divot kind of minimizes that risk, and slightly less defensive, but only slightly. There aren't that many tiles that can go directly underneath the eye in Divot.
Yeah, back to Jackson with another close rack. He's close to a lot of bingos. He's going to, I guess, take a little bit of time to make sure he's not missing something through an N, a G, a D. Nothing plays right now. So he might play something long. Veeler comes to mind from that V, but that gets rid of both E's. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough position to sort through for Jackson Smylie. Ideally, you keep AELR on your rack, but there's nowhere to play EOR that is very strong. So I'm curious to see what he comes up with here.
This isn't exactly an easy position. if you have all one-pointers without a bingo, everything feels uninspiring often. So he's going to look for a bit. He'll try to think about balancing leave versus scoring points here, but it won't be the most fun play to make, whatever he decides on.
Yeah, maybe Velar as well from that V just to keep that E in tow, but there's some danger there for overlaps. I'm not really liking anything here, and this feels like a time sink of a play, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe revoting. I'm not sure. That could be sort of interesting. And actually, like from seeing Jackson Nigel play a few times now, Jax isn't afraid to make these sort of in between moves at the beginning of the game. But yeah, nothing seems great.
I've been in sorts of positions like this against superior players, and it always just feels like, am I missing something? Would they see something better here? It's so hard to focus on what's in front of you, but Wheeler looks very strong. It does suck to get rid of those first two E's, but there are 10 unseen to Jackson, the E being probably his favorite letter, but this looks very strong. Back to Nigel with Orbit and a TN on his rack. Will he change course? Sorry, that's a really bad pun. Or will he go with Orbit on top of DI for 19? I think that's what he was looking at. Nothing great here.
Yeah, so I guess that
goodness.
is that. Oh, Jackson draws both blanks, so something like Sorghum could come down next turn. We'll see what his most opportune bingo is, though. With the double blank, you're usually going to have a lot of options. So Nigel looks like he's now arranging to bot, maybe setting up a second T. So playing off of Wheeler. Bot has a few back hooks. But he goes, okay, he's going in a more contained position.
Yeah.
So.
It's a little too crazy. I'd set up Bota, bots, bot. But we've seen Nigel make incredibly powerful setups, even those that seem like they take too many hooks. But yeah, bot here, keeping INRT, he's pretty likely to hit some of these floating letters, that E, that G of voting for ING words. And Jackson's maybe going to take some time here. He has both blanks. We both spotted sorghum. I think that's his only playable 7-letter word, but he has something insane through the OD.
Oh man, Godmother.
Godmother, it is. Beautiful find, Morris. That is insane. If Jackson sees that, I feel like that's maybe better than sorghum. It's the same score, but doesn't open a triple as dangerously as sorghum does. That might be his best play. Nigel would find it.
Yeah. So Jackson though is going to take a bit of time here, I think. And yeah, I guess, are there other high scoring bingo? I guess through the L, there's probably something that could maybe score decently. But
Yeah, I keep seeing 9-letter words: logarithm, algorithm, logomorph. But yeah, something like hologram. There's nothing that goes all the way down hitting both doubles. That would be ideal here. That's what Jackson's probably looking for. He's also probably looking to this N of voting, maybe from it. There is nothing that scores more than 78, but Jackson doesn't know that, and he has both blanks. This is the most difficult position in Scrabbles, when you have both blanks and so many potential options that either of those blanks could be one of 26 letters. How many possibilities does that give, Morris? Do you have that sort of math on hand? But it's just completely insane.
I would have just said 26 squared, but so I guess 25 squared is easy to do. You can and then just add from there. So you can, whoever does that fast in chat, congratulations.
Yeah. People asking in the chat, Nigel did draw a game. That's why you see that half next to his win-loss record. He drew a game against Chris Cree earlier in the tournament. I think they both played the perfect endgame. I know Nigel played the perfect endgame in that game, but yeah, he is between win and losses. While Jackson looks for stuff, he's seen Homegirl. I think he's considering that through the eye in voting. That's a strong option. The problem being H here and then O here. It's a lot of counterplay you're giving back. So that wouldn't be his best option here, but it is so difficult to find everything in these situations. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what comes down after a long thought process on turn 3 of round 24 of 28 before we crown the 2 finalists in the 2025 Scrabble Players Championship here in Maryland. Crazy situation in this game. Jackson does have the advantage if he can find decent bingo here. And Nigel Richards sitting on Jerd and Odd. That is by far his best looking play in the position. Jackson finds his 9 of Godmother. It'll block Jerd. If he plays Homegirl, it'll block Jerd. If he plays Sorghum, it won't block Jerd, but that might actually be really good for him if that triple isn't utilized.
This isn't an easy decision, and so he's looking to play Homegirl. The issue with this, as Josh highlighted,
Humoring.
He's humoring now. Cool. Yeah, so the issue with this, just Josh highlighted, and this is now a better version because the U doesn't create as many underlaps, but just it's now creating a pretty juicy spot on the triple. And the worst thing is, sometimes when you play a bingo, it creates 2 big spots. This only creates 1, and you'd think maybe 2 big spots leaves yourself exposed to more danger, which is true, but the real downside of something like humoring is that if your opponent takes the 1 hot spot, all of a sudden you don't have a counter play to counterbalance their high score. So humoring, a slight mistake, but it's a very good play still, and he's in the lead now.
Yeah, so Dejin going to come down very quickly for Nigel Richards. That's even better than the play he was going to make Jerd. It was interesting, mentioned in the chat, maybe Jackson was a little spooked by that play of bot. It could easily have been a setup for either that Z or that X. We know Nigel to make moves like this. Play of bot, yeah, pretty thin range of potential leaves he could have there. So that could have gone into the thought process. But definitely a big point sacrifice, and it did not work out for Jackson Smylie. But he's up. He has a balanced rack. He's in decent position. Do you play fork here? Do you open another triple?
I might do drink instead. Keep it a bit more contained. That seems pretty good. I think it only scores 1 fewer point. And the leave is still pretty good. 4 isn't at FOR, isn't quite as good a leave as DIN, but it does keep things a bit more contained for now, I think. So I might lean towards that, though. I see the merit of fork as well.
I like drink a lot better than fork. That K in that triple lane is just going to give such easy plays back to Nigel. They might not be high scoring plays, but in this situation, if he had played fork, just something like Tiki gets rid of Nigel's triplicate eyes. Drink looks a lot better, and Nigel not going to have a great play here with his draw. Very bad draw, actually, of EIIY.
Interesting. Yeah, so he has Yeti aligned right now in his rack.
He's going to play it here, I think.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Yeah. So now he's looking at Riley, maybe, through the L, which seems reasonable. He's down now, and the board doesn't have a lot of floaters available to him right now, so sticking that R out is a nice option in the future. And to be clear, for now, is just because all these plays are kind of overlapping and such in this top portion of the board. The bottom is still wide open for possibilities. So once that gets opened up a bit, you could see a lot of potential long plays there.
Yeah, and I think Riley makes sense here. You might be drawn to exchanging IIY to keep that strong EIRT combination. But what if Jackson does something on top here and blocks that D? It's going to be kind of hard for Nigel to draw into something, but he's doing it anyway. It's such a strong leave. There is a lot of space left on the board. Jackson might not have a good play that blocks, but I think he's going to be very drawn to something like FAH right now, just to inhibit that D. Most 8-letter words that contain a D will have it in late or final position. So I think this is a pretty automatic response for Jackson Smylie of FAH, and he plays it. Nigel with unmiter. That's not going to go on this board, is it?
Doesn't look like it to me. And yeah, I guess he blocked on mitered also, which was pretty key. So that that was a pretty pivotal decision that Jackson might not realize how much the game could have swung if he didn't play fa there.
Indeed. And Nigel just does not have great options now, I think. I'm not really sure what you do. That was really the reason I liked Riley. It created a little bit more space on this board. Such a likely response from a short exchange is a defensive play. Jackson was ready to sacrifice points to do something like fa. He didn't need to. He had a great rack to play defense and score and balance. But I think after that exchange 3, Jackson just queuing into the strength of Nigel's rack and just saying, okay, well, I have the lead. I'm just going to block you. And now Nigel down almost 100 points with some really difficult decisions. Maybe Emu from that E, but I feel like that doesn't get anything done for him. He might be still looking to play something from the D eventually, but maybe time to open something new. Morris, what are we thinking?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that, let's be clear, you just said Nigel made a mistake, right? No, I'm just giving you some hard time. But yeah, Emu seems reasonable enough. But yeah, it doesn't really accomplish a lot in terms of the position. So I'd look for other things, but there really isn't anything inspiring. You could try. It's really hard even to completely fork the board open. I was trying to think of a play like Ute off of the D in Drink to just try to open it wide, but like that's just completely unmerited. Not even intending to say unmerited because Nigel's unmerit on his rack has the letters. But yeah, so Emu like would be the kind of play I'd probably settle on, but not happily.
I think I like Grum here, setting up the E hook for Groom. Jackson might not have an E, even if he does. It's kind of difficult to maintain a blocked position after that. But Nigel just sitting there. He's probably a little bit concerned. Even Nigel Richards, when his bingo gets blocked, I think it affects him a little bit. But yeah, we'll see what he comes up with here. And yes, I do think Nigel potentially made a mistake on the last move, but we won't talk too much about that. Hindsight bias is strong. He's just going to play Emu. This makes sense. He's drawing a lot of 7-letter words next to that K of Drink that will open the board. He's drawing words through the G's on the board and from that D especially. So Jackson probably wanting to eliminate this from ever occurring, but at this point, it's kind of hard now. What do you do if you're Jackson, if you're trying to defend this lead? You're really wanting to block that D and Jin, aren't you?
A bit, but at the same time, Nigel just gave Jackson the opportunity to play flap for a lot of points. So I might just take that, continue extending the lead. If you try too hard to block a bingo and Nigel starts scoring 30, 40 points a turn, all of a sudden you're no longer up a bingo, you then are no longer up 40 points, etc. So I would just kind of, if I had a play like flap right now that doesn't open anything new, I might just go for that.
Yeah, Jackson looking at something. Actually, I don't know what he's looking at. Jackson, very similar to Nigel in showing us what he's considering. He doesn't
I think it's polar.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily line it up here. He is lining it up polar. I feel like flap is a better idea here, but maybe not. Maybe you want to keep the F for scoring in the future and for responding to low scoring bingos. But it's a point sacrifice. And if Jackson can just draw a bingo with AERO next turn, he's in incredibly good position to win this game. So I think I like this choice by him. High score, and he's up by over 100 against Nigel Richards.
Yeah, can't complain about that if you're Jackson. So Nigel did draw the Z, and as Josh was saying last game, he uses the Z extremely effectively. This is a pretty standard play, though. Grizz just scores a lot and starts to work with the bottom part of the board. So maybe the next few turns that develops.
Yeah, it's so hard now to do anything about this marginal lane, oops, that was created with Grizz, making Za. You can't play anything from the R unless you have an S. Jackson has a very tough decision here with QGP as his draw. Is he just going to take points here? He can play Gaper and Pung, but that is so incredibly dangerous. Or do you just exchange?
Yeah, this is not an easy. Like I feel like I keep saying every turn, this is not an easy decision. A big reason why I keep saying that is you're playing Nigel Richards, and even an 80-ish point lead feels temporary, just because you never know what he has. So Gaper, it does score, and it seems like, yeah, if you can take points against Nigel, you should. But I do understand the instinct to exchange too.
But look at this unseen pool, 27 vowels to 22 consonants. Jackson is probably very aware of this imbalance. He's going to go for PEAG. I think this makes a lot of sense. That keeps the extra consonant, doesn't open anything huge. That looks like way more sensible of an option. Even if Nigel doesn't have a huge bingo after Gaper, you can just imagine a super easy overlapping play, putting Jackson only up 80 or 70, and with that Q, you're not feeling good. Jackson playing PAG, unfortunately, no H to draw for QOPH through that P, but many I's to draw for QI and PI, so I love this decision by Jackson. Back to Nigel, who hasn't drawn an A for Za. So what is he going to do? How is he going to continue to try and throw punches in this game?
Yeah, that was an interesting decision. The other thing that Piag did is that the OD that into God there that he created, often you have to be careful about what letter you put on top. For instance, if you put the P there, APOD is a word. So that is really limiting opportunities in the future to bingo in row two. So it not only was defensive in the sense that it didn't open any new opportunities, but oh wow, Nigel opening things up a bit. The W is not necessarily the easiest tile to play through in second position if you don't have a T or an S. Jackson will likely play parallelly to it, something like OW, but still, it's really opening things up.
Yeah, this makes sense. It's his highest equity play, so points and leave. There are tons of vowels unseen, so LINT is very strong. Jackson quickly going to play OW. This is not a position he needed to think too much about. Let's leave the board as is. Keep the QU together. If you open the board with a bingo, hopefully I can bounce back with a big Q play. And if you don't bingo, well, I'm up 124. What are you going to do about it?
So Nigel has all one pointers. Maybe janitor here, just blow it up, score a bunch.
Yeah, janitor looks very strong. It's his highest score by at least 6 points. It doesn't look really great in terms of what it opens. Feels like Jackson will easily shut down that bottom of the board. Just a lot of points. The problem is that D is still a really nice resource for Nigel Richards if he wants to keep it open. Maybe he wants to play something over here. Maybe he wants to do something a little insane, like NAIL. I don't know what
Oh,
he's
that's
going to do
very
here.
pretty. Nail is very pretty. Yeah, but I guess, yeah, like your point of look at the bag of all the vowels unseen. It is, yeah. So Nigel now maybe going for a loin with that idea of you want to keep two consonants to sort of counterbalance any vowel heavy draws you have. That does seem quite reasonable.
Yeah, a loin is a huge counterpunch, but look, all 4 S's still unseen. Is Nigel really about to make an S hook on this S-less board? I would be completely amazed if he does this, but it makes sense. He's in really
I,
bad shape.
the other thing is, so like S hooks to the triple are scary because it opens the triple, but you're only getting 6 extra points back. ALOIN are all 1-pointers. So as S lanes to the triple go, this isn't that insane a risk, I feel like.
And Jackson's got to think, well, he must have an S in reserve here, but he doesn't. This is an incredible idea by Nigel Richards. So counterintuitive. Um, just, I can't believe it. Jackson is thinking of playing quinary for 58. He just has to double check that this is a word. He's looking up, just trying to make sure he isn't making this up. This is by far his best play. Does open a triple triple, but a Y in a triple triple lane, not a big deal. If he doesn't play this, he is way less likely to win this game. But if he plays Quinal, this is a phony. If he plays this, he is going to lose his turn, and Nigel is going to be able to react. Please don't play Quinal, Jackson. Please play Quinary or something else, because this would be a humongous swing in the favor of Nigel Richards.
Yeah, we saw earlier today a player had the valid word set up in his rack and then switched to the invalid word to his detriment. It would. I really hope we don't see that twice. It's never fun to see someone so close to getting something so right and then washing that away. But he has Quinary set up again, or Quinary, and but he's moving it now just to playing AY. I guess that does score a lot, and it eliminates that opportunity in the future. So there is some merit to keeping the queue if you're not 100% on Quinary here.
Yeah. Obviously,
he,
Quinary by far the best play here, but if you have any uncertainty, I just feel like Jackson's seeing this is like, well, where am I coming up with this? Why wouldn't I just play this? But you get so worried about playing a phony in these positions. This is a great way to eliminate space on the board. He has huge chances at a playable word through that I. Obviously, this is a big point sacrifice, definitely a mistake, but I totally understand the logic.
yeah, I could see like if you know trinary, right, and you might think, is it really also quinary? Am I making that up, right? Or binary, trinary, right? If you, I feel like those two I link a lot more than the third that ends in INARY. So I understand that confusion to some extent. But Nigel blocking that spot now.
Oh my goodness. And there's still no S on either player's rack. Jackson's got to start worrying like, okay, he's just blocked my spot. What am I doing with the Q now? Now there's this S spot. I think he's going to try and play lob maybe here to block a loins. Or is he going to overlap with something like BORN? This is a really tough situation. Jackson's still up 100 points in great position, but things are getting really spicy here.
Yeah, Born makes a lot of sense. I guess though it does create actually yeah, it does create the E back hook, right? So or is that only BOUR and I forget.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good way to block the lane next turn.
True. So yeah,
Just no
born.
fear. This is crazy. Neither player has an S. Neither player cares too much about Aloyan staying open. Obviously, Nigel, to react, is going to play J Dittic immediately, and he's going to have to hope for a very nice draw next turn because Jackson has drawn Squeals. This is it. This game is over. If he plays Squeals and Aloyans, Nigel Richards cannot come back from that.
Yeah, this is game clincher. Really nice job by Jackson last turn to say, you know what, even if I'm not 100% on this play, I'll still make a really good play to give myself chances. And I guess 2 turns, he always said that. And then last turn, kind of getting rid of the necessary things and clinching the game with Squeals here.
Nigel's drawn 2 U's. Oh my goodness, this is an amazing result for Jackson Smylie. He needed this game. Nigel, I think, still in the fold, but he's going to have to not lose any more games today, I think, after this loss. But Jackson up by 200 points after this play. There's no coming back from this.
Yes. So, and the funny thing is, Nigel normally just gets such huge spreads. With a tie, that doesn't matter nearly as much in his placement of the standings. There are a few people close by, like I think Ori and Chris Cree both have ties, but the spread here matters a lot more for Jackson than for Nigel.
Indeed. Nigel, with 7 tiles in the bag, he's considering lures and loons. Which one is better to give him more chances at a bingo? He knows better than anyone. I think his choice will be correct, but it's too little, too late. What a crazy game. So many tactics, so much board control by both players. I love to see this sort of game live on screen.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised rules wasn't in. I mean, I trust Nigel's calculation here. I just would have expected the R being slotted there to be the best chance for a bingo in the top part of the board. Maybe that just isn't there.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe he feels like he needs the R to bingo elsewhere, but yeah, slightly interesting decision. It's not going to matter. Nigel draws a lot of vowels. He is not going to bingo with that rack. That is disgusting. Jackson to act with 2 in the bag. I guess from his perspective, that R and that S that are not on Nigel's rack are lurking. So maybe he wants to block treasure from that T. There might be something else available in the pool. But I think Jackson's just going to go and block treasure if he sees it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. What did you say?
He's looking at Thais, I think.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I'm not seeing any bingos that play aside from treasure. Re-raise, I don't think fits anywhere. So, yeah, this is about as good of a result as Jackson could have hoped for here. Now he's looking at decoy, it looks like. Also an interesting choice.
Yeah, decoy would not block treasure, but the likelihood that Nigel has treasure, not super high. But yeah, as Jackson works through this pre-endgame position, we're going to try and get our round 25 pairing for you guys. One more round before lunch. Yeah, Morris, what a game. What do you have to say about this? What did Nigel do wrong, if anything, in this game?
Well, I think the turn you were talking about was Riley, or not playing Riley, I should say, exchanging IIY instead of playing Riley to give an extra floater. That might have been the closest thing we saw to a potential quote-unquote mistake. Maybe playing Emu instead of something like Grum could have induced more panic from Jackson, but I don't think there's these are at most very nuanced decisions that would be slightly off. I trust Nigel's instincts in a lot of those positions more than myself. So
You should trust me, Morris. Come on. Why are you trusting the GOAT? You should trust the commentator that has decided not to play this event. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of where Nigel could have made a different decision. Maybe even bought. I don't really think so. Yeah, Jackson, on the other hand, Quinary was missed, Humoring was inaccurate, but has played a fantastic game, controlling his lead, controlling the board, not being scared of that Aloyne's hook early on when 4S's were still unseen. Jackson's going to play Tai for 14, keep ECOT. He's going to draw RS if he does this, but he's going to decide against it. He's just going to play Tai's. And I think actually here he might be threatening to go out next turn. But with drawing 2 tiles, I don't think that's what he's really most concerned with here. I think he just wants to block what he sees. And Tai's does that. I don't think there's any unseen bingo to him after that. He can also play Yeats. But he's taking it back, just taking his time. When you're playing Nigel, you're seeing ghosts. Even in positions like these, like I don't want to lose out on spread if there's something that Nigel could have that I don't see. CETES being played, that seems pretty good as well.
Yeah, that's very pretty. It sets up the Y for scoring. So maybe that was part of the logic there. And the bag is now empty. And Nigel will play a perfect endgame, and then we'll cut the overhead mic shortly thereafter.
Before he lines a play up, what's your play? What do you think you do here? Quick.
Oh God, I feel like I just shut my brain off a bit. I sort of
too late.
Yeah, it's sort of like in the Chat GPT world where like certain tasks you feel like I haven't been as intentional in. I feel like in endgames when Nigel's playing, I like, okay, he's doing his Nigel thing.
So I only see a second outplay. EAU goes next to Born and Underborn.
And J Didic.
Oh, okay.
EAU.
Very nice. Jackson's just going to play Soy. I think that's probably his best play. Jackson Smylie taking this game against Nigel Richards. Morris. Pretty upset.
Yeah, let's cut to overhead mic.
$400 and $474. Oh shit. Thank you. Interesting. You did it was you this. Oh, you did not? Well, you got me to sacrifice a lot of points. Seemed like an odd play with it. Or an X. Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a break for you guys. We're going to have around 25 pairings for you as well. I believe we're going to be seeing the game between Nigel Richards and Joey Krafchick in round 25. and we'll be back when the players are seated and ready. See you in just a moment.